Thank you, Mr Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on the sale of liquor. Objections to Applications Amendment Bill under the name of the Honourable George Hawkins. And, Mr Speaker, I understand that this bill was first introduced in 2008. There were 53 submissions, of which 34 wished to be heard, and 10 of those were heard in the last Parliament before the change to the most excellent national government under John Key. Since that time, the Social Services Committee has kept in close touch with the Honourable George Hawkins and have been well aware of the fact that Sir Geoffrey Palmer's Law Commission report was due to be presented, and so they put the bill on hold pending that very comprehensive bill. And I must agree with the previous speakers that indeed the pendulum has gone too far in New Zealand. Alcohol is now a $5 billion industry, And just to explain one of my own concerns about this, and that is the effect on our children, and in fact our unborn children, and the effect of alcohol in utero, and those number of children that are born with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. In that report, there was an estimate of some thousands of children a year being affected by this. This is an extremely worrying concern, because those children will never have a chance to achieve their full potential, and often their mothers and fathers have no idea as to the implications of the drinking that they are doing that will impact on literally thousands of New Zealand children. So there's no doubt that the importance of this subject is enormous. And I must say that congratulations to the Honourable George Hawkins for bringing in this private member's bill, which is generally focused towards local communities having a say. There is no doubt that the South Auckland community have been particularly strong about their concerns of liquor outlets in their area, and the Honourable George Hawkins has indeed listened to them. Their concerns were certainly manifested in a march and rally at the Manukau City Centre about 6 weeks ago. There were representatives from all parties. On that particular occasion, I must admit I don't think the Honourable George Hawkins was there. He was there. Look, I thought he was campaigning for the local council of Manurewa. But Manurewa Action, yes. But conscientiously, he was both marching, he was there, and so also was my excellent colleague, Dr. Cam Calder, who is doing a tremendous job down there in Manurewa, obviously the natural successor of George Hawkins, but that of course will be after George Hawkins has become the council member for that area. But the point is that on that march, the local community were very strong about the adverse effects of alcohol in South Auckland, the huge number of outlets in that area, and of course the violence associated with it, and the very sort of examples that we have heard from other speakers of alcohol outlets being close to schools. The messages undoubtedly from that rally were absolutely crystal clear that they wanted to have a say as to how alcohol was sold and distributed in South Auckland. And of course this reflects the whole country. I think the good news, Mr Speaker, is that the national government is responding in a very comprehensive way to the Sir Geoffrey Palmer Law Commission report, responding with 126 ways to that 153 recommendations. But the basis of how the response will be with regards to local communities is that licences will indeed be harder to get and easier to lose. Licences will be harder to get and easier to lose. And I think that's a very, very important message, and one that George Hawkins himself certainly supports very strongly. Local communities will have the power to decide how many alcohol outlets are in their community, where they are and what time they are open. That's very much encapsulated what the Honourable George Hawkins bill is all about. And it is very interesting to hear the rhetoric from the Labour Party when the Social Services Select Committee recommended to this Parliament that at this stage of events the bill not be passed and instead the comprehensive package which is going to be put into place by the National Government does come forward. The National Government undoubtedly has a great series of interventions already in terms of policing and enforcement. There have been 300 more police in areas like South Auckland, 600 throughout the country. But more importantly, there will be tougher alcohol laws in this comprehensive package, and of course, in particular, and in response to this bill, there will be a much greater say for local communities of how alcohol will be dealt with in those communities. So, Mr. Speaker, it is right and proper that the Parliament follows the guidance of the Social Services Select Committee recommendations, that at this stage the bill is not passed and indeed the comprehensive recommendations of the National Government are accepted.
For Tim McIntyre.